Did you always want to be a goalkeeper? Someone said I think you started as a striker, is that right?
I did, yeah. I still am a striker, just put gloves on sometimes. I think every goalkeeper is a striker in their minds. It's the easiest position on the pitch, so I think that's what we enjoy doing in training. We enjoy scoring against each other. I was always kind of outfield, and then it got to a point where I had to decide, what was going to take me the furthest. If I really want to make a fist of becoming a Premier League player, what's going to take me furthest? And I don't think I was quite quick enough to be a modern striker. I think I'm more old school. So maybe just get back in goal.
Who were your favourite keepers growing up, and what made them stand out for you?
I had so many, honestly. The obvious one being my dad, obviously watching him a lot, but I was so lucky playing with so many good goalkeepers and being able to see them close up. After my dad finished at Man City, David Seaman came, David James, you had your Nicky Weaver, Joe Hart, Shay Givens. So many that I could mention. I looked at a lot of keepers that were kind of my stature, my size. I was a massive fan of Iker Casillas. Loved Oliver Kahn. Santiago Cañizares was obviously huge. Buffon. Just so many to mention. I used to look and study, every single day. I used to study keepers and see how they trained, how they played, little elements of their game maybe that could improve my game, and I still do to this day. Luckily, we back in those days it was videos and DVDs and clubs sharing DVDs and things like that, and then YouTube came in, and then now we have all these scouting apps and all these things that are brilliant that make these things much more readily available. But I always, when I watch games, I look at goalkeepers and I see what they do and see if there's anything that I can maybe use from what they're doing to try and improve my game. And I think that's been probably the most important thing in my career, is constantly feeling like I'm evolving, constantly wanting to learn.
Who would you say is the best goalkeeper in Europe or the world right now?
Again, I think it's a really difficult thing to say, because every goalkeepers in England are rated on saves. That's how they look at it, and that's a huge element of being a goalkeeper. But you have to match your goalkeeper up with what style of play you want. So for me, someone like Ederson, Marc-Andre ter Stegen, they're perfectly matched with the playing style that their manager wants. So a Pep Guardiola team needs to have a goalkeeper that's brave enough to play as high as a sweeper, because that enables the team to counter press really high up the pitch. But if you have a goalkeeper who is more on his line, for example, you leave a massive gap between you and the defence, and that leaves you exposed to the counter attack if they get through the first press. When you look at, for example, Barcelona, the way Barcelona play, the way they play out from the back, the expansive way, and the way they use ter Stegen, they basically, in their build-up play, they use him as a central defender, and he's brave enough to hold the ball for so long and find the little passes in between, and that's obviously a way they play. And it's a risk playing like that as a goalkeeper, and the same you see with Man City, with Ederson, it is a risk playing like that, but the rewards are also massive, because you can play and cut through teams, and you can cut out half the team with two passes. And I think when you then talk about who's the best in the world, you also have to think about what is he being asked to do. Is he being asked to, like, you look at Jan Oblak yesterday. Jan Oblak isn't being asked to play out from the back. He's been asked to stop shots, and that's it. And he did it unbelievably. He was amazing, and that's world class. But also what ter Stegen does, what Ederson does and has done, I think is also world class. And when you play in those ways, you have to accept that mistakes will be made. And I think Pep Guardiola was out after the derby and did say that we accept that those mistakes do happen because of the way we play, but we're asking him to play like that. So I think the question, going back, is probably a very long-winded answer, but going back, I think it's very difficult to say, because you need to look at the team that he's matched up with and what he's been asked to do.
The best or most important save that you've made in your career, which one would stand out most?
Wow. This is the part where I say too many to mention, isn't it? I mean, there are different types of saves. There are obviously the goalkeeping technical kind of saves where you really make a really difficult save, and then there's the saves that maybe aren't as eye-catching, but they're so important in the context of the game, and maybe the timing of it. And I really struggle to find one in particular.
Penalty saves against Sevilla?
Yeah, obviously penalty saves are important, but they're a lottery. You may as well dive the wrong way. So yeah, penalty saves. I don't really rate goalkeepers on penalty saves. It's one of those things that, like I say, you may as well dive the wrong way. So in terms of technical saves, I'm not really too sure. I had one against Kevin De Bruyne this season, where he cut inside and for keepers, when someone kicks through your defender's legs and you lose sight of it, which he did, and came back across me, and it managed to stay in my glove, which was in terms of goalkeeping techniques was a really difficult save. But yeah, I think in the Champions League season, obviously in the Premier League winning season, there were important moments in games. Maybe Tottenham away, a one-on-one save from Harry Kane where it managed to get it onto the bar. Again, not really like what you'd call maybe a great save, but in the context of the game and in the context of the whole season, a really, really important save.
Which outfield player at Leicester do you think most fancies himself as a decent keeper?
Every single one of them. They all think they can. They all get in there and try, but it looks as awkward as can be. Vards does fancy himself. Mark Albrighton loves going in goal. He's horrendous. No, it is quite fun to watch. Sometimes, when training's finished and one of them goes, "Oh, go on, give me your gloves," and then you go in and you get a good giggle at them. And I think probably Vards. He's probably the one that fancies himself the most.
I think you've played 550 senior club appearances, or around about that kind of amount. You haven't scored a goal yet, although some Leicester fans might say that you did against Yeovil. Yeah, remember that?
I did, and I'll never forgive the linesman or the referee for that. It is really a frustration. You've started something here now. No, it is a frustration because you get so few chances as a keeper to score a goal, and I did score a goal, but it wasn't given. But luckily for us, Chris Wood followed it up, and we did actually get a goal, and we didn't lose the game. But very frustrating.
Brilliant insight. Thank you, Kasper.
Thank you very much. Cheers.